Welcome to the Jira Life, the place to find news, events, and interviews with the Atlassian community's movers and shakers. Because we didn't choose the Jira Life chose us. Thank you to Revyz for backing us up and making the Jira Life possible.
I love that. Thank you to Revyz for backing us up.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure because we're us. I had Bob record that special just so we could include it on stuff and not have to remember it.
It's amazing. Happy birthday to us, though.
Alex, let's be honest. Did you really think we'd be still doing this after 2 years?
Dude, I didn't even think we were going to make it through the summer.
Hey, Sarah. Sarah will actually be joining us here in about 30 minutes. Yeah, this has been... It's still amazing how this community has grown. And I mean, I still don't really believe... It still doesn't feel real to me when I think about TGL, especially when I'm at like a team conference.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we kicked around for a while. And I'm glad we finally sat down and did it. But then when we sat down and did it, we had no expectation of anything.
I mean, we didn't even really do it its own thing. It's like, yeah, we'll do something and throw it up on Alex's channel and see how it does. So answering Sean's question, where's the cake? Just letting you know, because we already had to disappoint Bob with this. This is BYOC. Bring your own cake.
That probably should have been in the LinkedIn post.
Yeah, probably.
That would have been good information to have there.
That's okay.
So we are 2 years old. And
Terrible twos.
Terrible twos is about to begin, folks. So if you thought things were crazy in the Jira Life, Bob, strap on, because
I can't. Yeah, it's like, okay, so Alex's tantrums are going to get worse, aren't they?
They are.
I don't know. After Team 24, when he won that award.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm actually surprised his head fit through the door.
Good thing I drove home on that one, because that would have been I would have gotten charged a lot for that flight home. So 2 years, we wanted to take you guys back a little bit in time and kind of walk you through some of the history that we have, how the Jira Life came to be, why the Jira Life came to be, why Bob is here.
And of course, we have Lina here, who has a very important part in the history of TGL that we'll get to eventually.
Absolutely. And so let's start off with Team 23, right? I guess we technically have to start off before Team 23.
Yeah.
And so you had the text, though, no, Rodney? You originally had a text or something?
Yeah, I had a text. I've misplaced it since then. Of course I have.
Of course.
I can find it real quick. But yeah, we were kicking around this idea for like close to 6 months before we ever met in person.
Yeah, because if the timeline served correctly, I started my Summer of Atlassian in 2022. That's really when you started engaging with me. We hit the 1,000 subscribers on A Tech, and like you started, once we found out that Rodney wasn't the other Rodney.
That's the whole story in and of itself.
Yeah. And so there was no Team 22. I did not go to Team 22, at least not for me. But in July, August of 2022, that's when Rodney and I started getting together. And then Rodney would comment a lot on my videos, and then I was, solo doing the whole Ape Tech thing. And then I think at one point during that second half of 2022, Rodney and I were like, we should do something. We should launch something.
Yeah. And we started to talk about a podcast, and the name pretty much came almost immediately when we were talking about doing a podcast, because I had made a joke during one of Alex's live stream saying our famous catchphrase now, apparently, that we don't choose the Jira Life chooses us.
Yeah.
So we were talking, kind of getting this idea to get there about maybe doing a podcast. that's the name for like one of the first names we threw out for this thing was the Jira Life.
And I remember being hesitant on that name because I felt that by having Jira in it, that would restrict us to just talking about Jira. Nope. At no point did we know that we were going to be scratching out Jira and putting Trello in it.
Trello, Confluence,
Yeah.
Atlassian, Rov. These days,
The
it's going to be
Rovo
what? Rovo, System of Work,
Yeah.
Guard.
Guard.
So yeah, but that definitely wasn't on our horizon. We weren't like at that moment in time. We were simply thinking, does this let us only talk about Jira?
Mhm.
And I remember Rodney going, "Nah, you can talk about anything."
I mean, we push that almost every episode, exactly how much anything actually stands for.
Yeah. And so before the Jira Life was born, though, right? Before it officially carried a name, because to get to the name, we're already past Team 23.
Yeah.
And so we kind of jumped over Team 23. And Team 23 was very important because Rodney and I, this is the first time we met.
Yeah.
Actually, it was also the first time I met you.
Yeah, this is the first time the three of us technically met.
I've known Rodney for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rodney and I, because we were active in as community leaders. And so this was the first time I saw you. And I remember I was for the partner I was working for, I was at their booth, saw you,
and came
saw
over
your videos, knew I had to go to you and say, hey, big fan, love what you're doing.
Was Team 23 or 22 right after your first book, Bob?
Team 23 was my second live appearance.
Yeah.
Because I was at Team 22 as well.
Yeah, I think I met you in person at Team 22 specifically to get one of your books. But that might have been Team 23.
Yeah.
So Bob meets me. I meet Rodney. And then we go on.
Yeah, Team 23. I had contacted Alex like a week before saying, hey, we should meet up, record something.
But tell them how we contacted each other.
We contacted each other on Twitter messages, not even LinkedIn. That's the only way I could contact him because that's the only reasonable contact where I was fairly sure he would see it.
To which I asked Alex, don't you have his number?
It wasn't until like the Thursday that I got his number.
Yeah, and all this time we're trying to meet together and
by sending each other Twitter messages.
And we are both so busy that we keep near missing each other constantly.
And so I went to Team because we had already kind of thought about this beforehand to record something. And so I lugged around a microphone and I had my laptop and a stand. And we knew we were going to film something. We just couldn't coordinate because of the whole Twitter message delay thing.
I think it was no, not Tinder. But still, finally, it's like, here's my number. Just call me, text me, whatever. Let's get together. Let's get this going because I did want to get with you. It's just, you know what it's like now, Alex, as a larger creator at Team.
And let's not forget that Team 23 was also the introduction of the Creators Program, which was exclusive only for community leaders.
Yeah. So I was doing a lot of stuff with the other Atlassian creators, trying to get stuff coordinated there. And it's like, I want to talk with Alex, but I'm always being pulled aside somewhere. Right. So we finally, it's the last day. We're mid-afternoon, right before Bash. We finally get together. And if I'm remembering right, Alex, it's like, where do we actually record this? I'm like, let's just steal a corner of the community booth.
Yeah, I'm actually going to pull it up because I think I mean, that video is live on my channel. So technically,
I've got it queued up right here.
Oh, you have it? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, the very first episode of the Jira Life, if you want to roll that cue, this is first recording.
Community Lounge.
That lighting.
There's an actual trivia show happening right behind us, so hopefully you can hear us okay. But this is Rodney.
Hey, hello, I am the Jira guy.
And I'm Alex. Don't have a cool name yet, guy. We're trying to go and talk to Jira, but I need to figure out how to get that domain still. But yeah, we wanted to talk about session highlights, product announcements, and just overall experience at Team 23.
And that, my friends, is the very first recording of the Jira Life before we even knew it was the Jira
Episode
Life.
0, right? Or
Yeah,
you know,
episode 0.
That would be episode 0. That was.
I will say Macdor says we look young. I'd say we look naive.
Yeah, little did we know what this was going to be. And Andy's here. I spoke to Andy this morning.
I
Had
may
a little chat with him.
have spied in on that.
And so, luckily, I'm telling you, man, when we did this was like the tail end of that Thursday. Like we were.
Yeah.
Had we delayed it anymore, I don't even think the Jira Life would be here right now.
No, it would not. I don't think so. But
And-
we managed to finally get together, get it done. We
Do
talked
you
like
remember?
good.
Do you remember? So the video quality, folks. The reason that video looks like that is because it's on my laptop, and so Rodney and I probably still have that clip on my iPhone. I had it on a gimbal, and like 5 minutes into it, the gimbal just went boom, and I dropped Lina. And so the video the camera just dropped, and I'm like, well, we're shooting on the laptop.
Yeah.
You would think 2 years later we figure out our
Oh no.
our hard electronics problems. Here we are, Team 25, still having electronic problems.
But I mean, we didn't really know what to expect with that episode. I'm like, okay, it goes live on Ox channel. We'll see how it does, and then we'll use that to inform what we do. And I think it may have been a week later where I'm messaging Alex. I'm like, we need to do more. I'm basically the equivalent of I'm bored. Let's do something.
And
like you don't have enough to do.
No,
right. Well, I mean, that was 2 years ago. Rodney, you were still at your last job too, right?
I was still at my last job. I was still really focused on the JiraGuy.com, which I am to an extent now, but I'm thinking about the future, what the future holds for the website. I don't want to say too much, scare too many people right now. It's not going away, but I've got some thinking to do.
It's the internet. It will always live forever.
Granted.
So yes, in about May timeframe, right? This is when we started putting together the tidbits of what would become the Jira Life. That's when we started thinking about like, okay, so what's a good name? What do we want to do with this? What do we not want to do with this? But the most important
domain.
Yeah, but the most important decision that we did out of that was how do we do this?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we made a decision because I had been doing all my live streams in the previous year, and that helped me monetize the channel in 9 months. Because I was able to take ApeTech from nothing to monetize in 9 months. I was like, well, Rodney, we should just do live streams because that seems to crank the hours out.
Mm-hmm.
And so Rodney's like,
yeah, I'm like, sure, I don't want to do editing anyways.
yeah, because we knew we weren't going to have time, right? We knew we weren't going to have a time commitment. Like, we knew we were going to have a time commitment problem. And recording and all that other stuff was just going to, slow things down. And I think more than anything, it was going to give us a reason to not continue.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're like, let's just get together for an hour. We'll live stream it. No editing, nothing. We just get on, turn on the camera, talk for an hour, shut it down. Minimal commitment, 50 episodes a year.
Yeah, and the time frame literally comes. The reason why we do it at this time slot, even today, it was just like, well, I get off work at 5. My work is a lot more strict about when I can get off than yours is, Alex. So let's just do it on 5 on a Thursday.
Yeah, and then my thing was, well, I get off at work at 2 because I worked on an East Coast company, and that was the same 5 o'clock for you. I'm like, that works out. Let's just do it right after work.
Mm-hmm.
And so we picked 2 p.m., 5 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah. So
why Thursday, though? Why did we pick Thursday?
I don't know, but at this point, I'm afraid to change it.
Third is for the tea.
Possibly. There's got to be a reason why we picked on the Thursday. Maybe I would suspect that we were using the data from my live streams and which one had more turnout.
Yeah,
that's what I would assume. But
there was some reason. I remember we chose Thursday specifically. Sarah's right. We do not release on a Friday. We know that much.
Yeah, we knew Friday was out. We knew Monday was out. So that left us Tuesday through Thursday. But Maybe Tuesdays was because I had to reserve for tacos.
Wednesday, I know I didn't want to do because that's when I was releasing blog posts, and that drained me so much that usually I'm just dead by the end of the day. I'm like, I can't bring the energy on a Wednesday.
Was there an incentive? I kind of want to say that there was some sort of an incentive that you said, I'm releasing my blog post on Wednesday. And I'm like, well, we could talk about them on Thursday.
That may have been it.
But the Thursday was a mystery now. Kind of really wish we did. No, Ronnie, if I'm not mistaken, because we got another clip to play here, we met up prior to all of this, right? Still in May, to talk about these logistical things, but our dumb butts didn't hit record until the tail end of that. And so, do you want to play what we did capture?
Yeah.
And the Jira guy comes a podcast that covers everything and anything relevant to being a Jira admin. We cover the latest news and updates from the OS ecosystem, cover best practices for Jira working tools, and interview with the movers and shakers in the community. We didn't choose the Jira Life. The Jira Life chose us.
And with that, welcome to the very first episode of the Jira Life. This is a brief introduction. My name is Alex, and I have Rodney.
Rodney, the Jira guy, Nissen.
Back to normal voice. And we're excited to bring this all-new initiative to you, the Atlassian community.
Yeah, this is a collaboration between me and Alex. We've done several interviews together now, and we love
really
working
well
together a lot. They're doing really well, so we're like, you guys want more of it? Let's give you more of it.
Yeah, we are going to give the people what they want, and they clearly want more Jira content from Jira experts. And so we are launching this podcast to be a vessel to help you grow in the community. So what can people expect from our podcast, Rodney?
Just banter. We're going to talk about the latest news. We're going to talk about some of our posts, and we're going to go more in depth. We're going to talk about what it really means, how this could impact you, what changes you could expect, what things you need to do to prepare, and just kind of go deep into these topics and fully understand what's going on.
Yeah, give you two different perspectives. Ronnie and I always typically sit on opposite sides of the same coin. So it's going to be interesting to latch onto a few of these key topics that are important to you as a community member, as a user of Atlassian, of a user of Jira. And we're just going to go deep. We're going to give you the good, the bad, the ugly, the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, the how. We're just going to give you our expertise and our perspectives, and hopefully a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of value, and help you on your journey. Because let's face it, this journey of Atlassian, it's a little bit overwhelming sometimes, especially if you're new. And even for us experts, it's sometimes a little overwhelming to just the amount of new features, the amount of information, the amount of customizations, the amount of everything that you can do in this world. It's a pretty daunting thing. And so we want to create this so that you're not alone. You have two well-versed experts in this field, backed by other experts in our field that are here to help us and support us. And we just want to create something that's amazing, that helps you out, and at the end of the day, brings you tremendous value.
So feel free to join us. We're live Thursday nights on YouTube.
Thursday nights on YouTube.
Yep. Just cut it off there.
That video hasn't been aired before, right? Nobody's ever seen that?
I don't think they have.
I don't remember seeing that video.
We are, I mean, looking at how we banter now and how we were so stiff during that recording.
Oh man, that was
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
Very. I'm looking at myself doing that. I'm like, I am ramrod straight. Just looking at the camera like, do not mess this up. Do not mess this up. Which of course means I'm going to mess it up more.
Well, if you remember, Ronnie, you didn't post videos back then. Like you had like one or two videos that you were posting. And I think you watching me post videos encouraged you to like post one or two videos back in 2022, which is probably the last time you posted a video on your channel. and I remember
it's just not my thing. It's just not. I don't mind creating content for TJL. I love the study sessions. I love this, but I just doing my own channel just never really clicked.
And so we recorded that. And then that never aired, and so then we went and actually formally made our first episode, which the channel the Jira Life officially we registered it on YouTube on May 30th, 2022.
Yeah.
23. May 30th, 2023. And so again, coming up on a year here. But our first video didn't drop until a couple of days later.
Do you
But if
guys
I don't-
remember that you guys used to name the videos after quotes from the movies?
Dude, there's always a movie reference in there. This is something Alex did. I'm like, hey, awesome. Let's keep running with it.
Yeah.
I think it was by accident, right? We have liftoff was the first episode.
And we just kind of kept running with it for like good 20 episodes.
And
Yeah.
then, and then Alex realizes it's not good for the SEO. It's like, oh, let's start renaming these.
Maybe let's put Jira in it. I don't know.
So I think the next big thing we need to talk about, and Bob's already asked this in chat.
Wait. Before the peanut, one last thing on this first episode, because I can chronologically, I'm trying to give it to you in order.
Yeah,
Our very
fair.
first episode, the first like 2-3 minutes is Rodney in that deep impersonated
I
voice.
forget to I didn't quite fully click the button to change out of the voice changer, so it's just still about 5 minutes in with the voice changer.
Mm-hmm.
I
Key
think
moment
before
of
we get
episode 1.
to Bob's question about the peanut gallery, we do need to talk about something, Alex. And we've already gotten a lot of flack about this multiple times over. Fun Man will not ever let us forget it.
Oh my god.
And we have Lina to thank for saving us from ourselves here. How did we organize like our first 5 episodes?
So that first so when we were coming up with like, okay, let's come up with a plan. We're like, let's plan out, because the one thing I knew from watching all the research I had done on launching a YouTube channel is you don't launch with just one channel, one episode, right? You kind of drop a few. And I know that, so Rodney, we just can't like show up and just, not, we got to have some material here. And so we're like, let's start thinking about the future. And so my gut reaction was to Excel. Create an Excel file. I put the dates. Because we knew we were going to do every Thursday. I wonder if I still have that, Rodney.
You
It's
do.
still there. It's still there.
So
It's on some NAS somewhere.
To which
Oh,
I'm like,
words.
aren't you guys like the
Forgotten.
Jira people? Why are you guys not using Jira?
Yeah,
Look,
Lina.
I have it. Go ahead, keep going. I'll just share my
Yeah,
screen.
we do a meeting after almost every episode with TGL, a staff meeting, and we were doing one of these meetings. We started this tradition early, and Lina pops in going, "Why are you using Excel if you're supposed to be Jira people?"
And we got in trouble. But this was our first list. We had announcement. What do we do as a new admin? The last in creators programs. Biggest Jira flops. And we got pretty far before the history of Atlassian. And this is where things took a different turn for us. But before we get there, I think the peanut gallery was already alive somewhere in one of the end of June ones.
The peanut gallery. So speaking as somebody who remembers the live episodes, I actually kind of came up with the name Peanut Gallery.
You did.
I
Yeah.
was one of the people commenting. It was me and Andy Gladstone. I don't know if Matt
Dorr wasn't
there
there
in the early
yet.
days, but it was that kind of occasion where I remember the Peanut Gallery from Howdy Doody. So yeah, that's exactly how old I am. And so as somebody that was typing in on chat, I started calling us people, typing in the Peanut Gallery. And that was actually kind of the big difference between other podcasts and things like that, because now I had a voice. And Rodney or Alex was kind enough or smart enough to actually throw that onto the screen. I could actually see, oh my gosh, I'm on the screen.
Look, Mom, I'm on TV.
One reason we wanted StreamYard, A, is Alex already had it set up. But B, we knew we could do this with StreamYard. We knew we could do we call it throwing up, but throw up comments on here. So we knew we wanted that. We knew if this thing was going to be successful, it was going to be a community effort. It wouldn't be just us. We'd have to build a community around it. And we wanted to feature that community. So that's one reason we went with StreamYard, or kept going with StreamYard. And it's like, hey, we're actually getting chat finally. Let's feature them when we can.
Yeah, and I think we skipped over a couple of things, so I don't want to belittle the peanut gallery part, but we definitely need to go back, so remind me. But one thing that I'll add for the peanut gallery, to me, the peanut gallery was very important. I never knew it was going to become what it ultimately has become, right? We have a dozen or so people that join us every single week here. Rodney, I think you and I would have been happy just having one person, and that one person not being my mom. Because you remember, my mom used to be in every single episode at the beginning. But this whole concept of this community, right? Like, the selfish reason why the live stream was important was because the engagement in the chat broadcasted out to YouTube's algorithm. So that was my selfish, like, Rodney, we got to do a live stream and engage and do the pop-ups. But at no point did I imagine that we were going to be building these relationships and friendships that we have today.
I remember, and this goes into the peanut gallery, we were trying to figure out what we called our fans. I think, Alex, you did the poll.
No, but we got to back it up, dude. We got to back it up because we skipped the logo and we skipped the name.
All right. Well, the name was already kind of there.
No. On the name of the podcast, because before the Jira Life, we had that Jira Life.
Yeah. I mean, that's something we did talk about for a while, is that Jira Life. It said, I can't find it now, but I have a text with Alex that says that.
And I have a folder with pictures of that Jira Life too, but I've been trying to find him. I saw him like 2 months ago, but I can't find him right now. But we were calling, it was going to be that Jira Life for a minute.
I think what happened is we could not get the domain.
Is that what it was? Probably.
Yeah.
And then after that, shortly after we did settle on the Jira Life, we posted this post here that basically said, folks, pick a picture. Which picture are we going with? And so we have the Jira Life in a community circle. We have the Jira Life where we took your logo.
I mean, I still like this one personally, but
right. Then we have the one we settled in, although Andy said it would look like the bank of something in Finland, or where was it? There's a bank in Europe somewhere that has his exact logo. I'm pretty sure it's down here in the comments. Labor Day. Misspelled Labor Day. And then we had the Jira Life. I'm surprised we didn't go with this one since it was the same one.
We actually do go with that one. That one is, sometimes when we need one for a light background, this is what I go with.
Yeah. And then we had this one. And then, so somewhere in this post, Jens was like, you guys are crazy. You guys suck at
Look at the
design."
next link.
No, I got him here. So then Jens was like, check these out, Alex.
Ooh, ow.
And so he threw him into AI and was like, how about these? And I was like, well, by this point, we had enough people kind of voting already on these, and we had a winner.
Now, can you go back to the original logo? Go back to the LinkedIn post.
Oh, back in the LinkedIn post?
Yeah, I don't know if people noticed, but our logo used to have, go to the one we chose.
Oh, this one?
If you guys look at the R, slightly, the text is, the font is
there's
different.
a curve.
We ended up changing the font eventually, but
because that was Rodney, right? Rodney recreated one.
The original shirts are with that font. Like
the original ones have that font. I could not figure out what font this was. I sat there with like the font directory for like a good 3 hours.
Half a day.
Yeah, half a day, because I need to recreate this as a SVG file for something.
And by this point, we're still texting each other on Twitter, so he could have just texted me like, "Can you give me the logo?"
I mean, I don't think you even had the SVG version of it.
I don't think we did.
But
so that's the name. That's where that came from. And then what is this one here? Happy Saturday. The amount of feedback Rodney and I received Okay, so so this is where we had Jens' other post.
Yep.
See if anybody else liked it. And we lost the Bob.
Andy, it's not why I lost the job. Not directly, at least, but because it was a Saturday I did this.
And
I
good
do
thing
a
your
lot
current-
outside hours for TJL.
Good thing your current boss is in a skip, so he can't hear you right now.
He's on the chat.
Is he still here? I thought usually on the 30-minute mark he's got. Yeah, see, he's got to run. He left 2 minutes ago. All right, so Bob left with the put me in coach. Oh, that's gonna be
We took
anticlimactic.
too long. Now our Bob is gone.
All right. So let's talk about the put me in coach. Ronnie, do you have that video queued up?
I don't. Go for it.
Can you hear this if I put this in here?
No, we can't.
Oh, well, I gotta download it then and then upload it. We'll download this.
Give me 5 seconds.
All right, I just downloaded it. How do I add this? Stop screen. Present. Video file. Well, stay tuned. We might come back to that Jira file. Mr. Robert Wen. We're in the presence of royalty.
Oh my goodness, this is so cool. Okay.
He was so young. Thank you for saving my butt here and saving
well,
Roger's more importantly than anything else.
It saves me. It's going to save me a whole lot of typing, isn't it? So those of you that are in the peanut gallery, please pick up the slack for me, because I'm not going to be typing as much. But.
Yeah. So
The audio,
yeah,
though.
thank
The
you. So
audio.
we'll let Claff or Dave just start typing away into the peanut gallery there. But thank you so much. We just converted this into BobTube. That wasn't me. That was all Andy. So thank you again. Oh, sorry, wrong one. We got a special
BobTube. Andy,
special
did you even
guest
know
here,
you made that
Mr.
one?
Bob. All right. So the significance here. So Rodney and I,
Go
from
ahead.
the inception of this, had a plan. Him and I do this together. Then one day Rodney decides to go to an internet cafe.
No,
That's
he
not what
had a
happened.
storm go by.
No, he was like at a
That one
Dungeons and
was not
Dragons
bad
thing.
either.
He was in
That
some
one I
Dungeons-
was flying back in from Poland.
Was that the Poland trip?
Yeah, I think
The
that was
Jira
the
day?
Poland trip.
I could have sworn that you left me hanging to dry.
No. The full video. If you guys watch the full video says that Ronnie pops in eventually, and he's like, "There, a storm just happened to go by and knock everything
Oh.
off."
Okay, I'm wrong. I'm remembering the wrong event. But yeah, those who don't know, I live in a fairly rural area. which
So
means
rural
two
that
things.
Google Maps did not exist in his house.
No, seriously, he's not lying. For about a good year and a half after I moved in, Google Maps refused to show my house because it was an old picture and the house was just built. But living in a rural area, it means two rules. The power goes out often and your internet goes out even more often.
And so this day, right? Again, the Jira Life was designed to be a collaborative effort between at least two people. And that day, Ronnie doesn't show up, and I'm like, oh boy. So how am I supposed to banter with myself? And I'm like sweating, and it's like the middle of summer, and it's like 1,000 degrees, and I'm like really sweating, and Bob has some sympathy on me, and like put me in, coach. And I'll never forget those words. And like in an act of desperation, I bring Bob on, and you just saw the clip of Bob, and now he's a third owner for just that little moment.
The problem is, once he was a part of the team,
We couldn't get him out.
we couldn't.
That 30 seconds of fame really got to his head.
I mean, we play on him, but he has been really helpful as far as getting people on. Yes, Andy, Bob does have equity.
Yeah, Bob doesn't just show up to look pretty on the camera. But between Bob, Rodney, and myself, we own a third of the company each.
Yep.
Which we'll get to as well, because that's part of our history. TJL
Yeah.
Media. Stay tuned.
But it's been fantastic having him on. He's been a huge help as far as getting people on board, getting things ready. He used to do scripts. We don't really bother with scripts much anymore for some reason.
We try to do so. Something else that we haven't really mentioned is at the beginning we wanted a banter, right? But I've always had my like, how do we grow this as a YouTube business hat? And a conversation I had with Rodney early on after like maybe the third or fourth episode, which was, hey, we should have segments. Right?
I miss
We're like,
segments.
yeah, we're like, we should have Rodney. I think we have a problem. And he wants his piece.
I don't know if you're an investor without equity, but you're definitely a sponsor.
So we're like, we should do segments because we were thinking 1 hour video. If we have segments, we can clip those up into individual videos that we can upload throughout the week and have the recorded video. And so we tried, right? We tried to do like the Jira tip of the week, the Jira fail of the week. What else? We had a bunch of segments. We had like 6 or 7 segments. Remember, Ronnie?
Yeah. What were some of them? Jira fail of the week.
We had a Jira fail, and then we had like answer the question. That was like the hardest one. We were like answer a question from the community, and
no one wanted to ask us questions.
Yeah, nobody wanted to ask us questions. And then somebody finally asked us a question, and it's our #1 video: how to add a due date.
Yeah. It is still, I think it finally got surpassed back after Team 25 for some reason. But up until that point, it was our top performing video ever on the channel.
Yeah. And so that was the premise. And then, but after an episode or two, we're like, well, we just can't show up and not have like the app of the week or the fail of the week, right? Because we need to kind of preemptively think about these things so that when we show up, we're not just like Googling in the middle of the show. And so that's when the idea of having a script was born.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's talk about the Jens episode. Do you want to talk about that one, Rodney? Do you remember that?
Vaguely. I'm going to let you run with it while I get Sarah on.
All right. So we're hanging out with Jens Schumacher, right? And Jens, so we did the episode on the history of Atlassian, where we talked about here's the Charlie thingy, right? And then we were using a Nikki and Biro's post from Jexo, where they kind of had a whole timeline on the history of Atlassian. And so we were kind of just walking through it. And I remember the next morning as I'm waking up, Jens sent me a message on LinkedIn. He's like, technically, that's all wrong. And he was like, he was bashing how we got a lot of the facts wrong. And he's like, I'm like, how do you know they're wrong? And he's like, I was there. I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. And he's like, if you want, I can come on the Jira Life and, set the record straight. And I was like, well, that's cool. So Jens was like our very first guest, no?
He was one of them, yeah.
And
he kind of set in all this motion where we started considering, hey, having the two of us is fine, but if we bring in other personalities, we could have different dynamics than just the two of us.
But Jens did a lot of contributing things to the Jira Life. One, obviously the logo that he helped inspire or uninspire. Two, he became our first guest. But the most important thing is he provided structure to the script. Because if you remember, he was like, what are you guys going to ask me? And we're like, I don't know. So he generated a Confluence page that he externally shared with us with all the questions. You remember that, Ronnie? You're not remembering this. What's up, Sarah?
No, not really.
So yeah, so the Jens provides us with a Confluence page that has like 10 questions or something, and that's what we're going to talk about. Problem is, as soon as we jumped on, I swear I was more lit up than when I saw Mike.
He was.
And at the end of that episode, Ronnie was like, you ever think of letting me talk for a second there, buddy?
I didn't want to be rude, but he was so engaged that I'm like, I don't want to interrupt him, but I can't get a word in edgewise.
Not a single word was heard from Ronnie in that interview. I was just so starstruck by having employee number 13 in the presence of us.
I mean, we've had employee number 1 now, and he.
Yeah, but by then I was told I had to behave.
Oh yeah, we may have sat down with Alex and go, look,
Well,
this is actually like a really big deal.
but it all stemmed from that Jens episode, because after that episode, that's when you guys told me you have to share the mic.
You still
So
joke
see what
about it.
happened, Alex, was the show grew and you said you had to be told. So it grew so much that you have handlers now, right? So all the big celebrities have all of their handlers. So that's actually what's going on here is we're just your handlers helping you get to that next step.
Mike was number 1. The way the Wikipedia article is, Mike had the idea, sent an email to his classmates. Scott's the one that responded back. So that would make Scott employee number 2 and Mike
Yeah.
number 1. Now, whether that's what happened on the badges, I don't know. But I interpret it as Mike was Uno and Scotty was 2.
Maybe they're 1 and A.
No, you got to do what Steve Jobs did. He went to 0 because he was so pissed off that Woz got 1.
I mean, it's a number. We believe that.
We did it. We had an episode 0. So, appropriately so, after Bob's coming in 1 year later, we had the lovely Sarah join us. How did that one come to be? We have that video.
This one's on you.
Oh, okay. I'll download it. Okay. Download it anyways. So the story behind Sarah. Talking about segments again, we had an opportunity where we knew we wanted to have an opportunity or the possibility of doing out of cycle episodes, right? Episodes that weren't on
Yeah.
Thursdays at 2 p.m. And so what we gravitated towards was like, well, if Atlassian never does something, we should right here with King Bob,
If they do
Wen,
something,
and Sarah Wright.
No good
In
explanation of
case
what
you
something
have
is.
been living under a rock for the last, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, Jira is having some hiccups right now. Or the Atlassian ecosystem is having some hiccups.
And it's actually not just Jira. There's a few things that you would do to if there were a problem with Jira and Cloud, right? And Sarah, you can probably tell us what's going on based on your experiences. So what did you experience as far as
so
Jira?
starstruck.
Jira?
And that
Yeah, I
lost
feel like
too.
I'm a on the scene reporter here, right?
Yes, you are.
I'm the man on the street interview or woman on the street. So yeah, actually at 5:28, because I started chatting some colleagues, I was trying to log in to the administration panel and noticed I couldn't log in. I couldn't
There was an outage.
get in using a different account and trying that. So I went out and I did check on the status page, and everything even now is showing some green. So I reached out to some colleagues. Some of them were reporting similar issues. Went over into the Atlassian support area, right? I was going to go report that problem, let them know what was going on. And even when I went in to contact support, they had a warning message there saying there was a support service connection issue and trouble reaching the back end service.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that, yeah.
So all of those things. And then
Move on,
I've
guys.
Yeah, we don't have to hear the whole thing, but that is how Sarah made it onto the team. And,
I think that was her first appearance. Her second appearance, I think, was even better because, Alex, we were trying to get you to be a community leader. And we came up with, I think you came up with the idea.
I came up with the idea because I had taken my mom to jury duty.
oh yeah.
And she did not want to go to jury duty. So I'm like sitting there in my Tesla, charging up my Tesla, waiting for my mom to do her jury duty. I'm like, jury duty. Because for like a year, since April of 2023, right? And by the time Sarah came on in July 3rd, 2024, I'm like fighting with Atlassian for over 12 months. Basically, they're like telling me I can't be a community leader because I haven't made enough content. I haven't answered enough questions in the Atlassian ecosystem. I'm like, yeah, only the 800 videos I have on YouTube, but they don't count apparently, right?
And
so
this
like,
was before you could become a Atlassian creator without being a community leader.
correct.
So we had to get Alex to be a community leader first, so we can get him recognized as Atlassian creator.
And so we're trying to figure out what's the fastest way to like fast track this whole like community leader thing, right? Like, how do I get the most amount of questions in the shortest amount of time so I can qualify? And thus Jira Duty was born. And Jira Duty is where we sit down and answer community questions in the forums now, which we haven't done in a year. So Sarah, we're back up for that. So,
It is fun. I can't believe it's been a year already.
Yeah, we did.
And that's also carrying over with the sparring, right? The two sides of the coin you mentioned.
Yep. Because I like Andy. He's like, I can't believe we've been watching this for an hour and you barely got 3 answers right. So the idea behind it was novel, but the execution of it, we end up bantering more for an hour than we do answering a question. But the questions we do answer are the most thought out questions they get out of all the other questions, I would assume.
Assuming Judy doesn't beat us to the punch again.
No, but I'm just saying, like, who else answers forum questions in a groupthink manner, right? Like, or some sort of like in a group, like everybody's like individually answering questions. So our questions were
They're
vetted.
impossible alone.
Yeah, we're just eating Atlassian's dog food here.
Yeah.
But Rodney, even then, by the time Sarah came on, we still went too far into the future because a monumental thing happened in February 15th of 2024.
Yes.
And that was probably the dumbest thing that you and me and Bob have ever thought of in our lives.
Oh, yeah.
We decided to do a live stream for 24 hours.
All 3 of them together.
At the
To
same
which I was
time.
like, aren't there 3 of you? Why don't you guys like separated?
Right.
Because it's about the challenge. I mean, I didn't know Alex could not handle being awake for that long.
So that's the bit we want to see is you guys saying, this is a good idea. Let's do this. Does that exist?
No, because we don't record our meetings. But I think it was Andy who said this at the end, where Alex looks like he's about to die. Ronnie looks like he's ready to do another 24 hours.
Dude, you were just like eating food. You were just powering through it. We had 24 guests come through or technically 24 guests. We had a couple dupes. A couple people came and saved us, like Mark Brickley. He came in twice. He joined us in at 3 a.m. to keep us alive.
We have a list of that.
Yeah, we do have a list. We have all the LinkedIn posts where we were just posting like as we were going, guest by guest by guest by guest. But Ronnie, why don't you tell the people the smartest thing we did that day, which is really the dumbest thing that we did?
I'm trying to figure out which particular part of it you're
I'll tell
talking
you
about
then.
because there's the taco thing.
No. The taco was like, that was the birth of the tacos on a sandwich. But here's the logistics of a 24-hour live stream. We all knew server end of life was February 15th. What we didn't know is that Pacific time, February 15th, is like basically like February 17th everywhere else in the world.
I mean, to be fair, I knew this.
Yes, you did. But he failed to communicate this information. Turns out PST is like one of the last time zones to enter the date. So Rodney,
I didn't think I'd have to explain time zones to anyone. To be fair,
I didn't think we were gonna like do a freaking New Year celebration like Times Square where they celebrated every hour. So what I did, because February 15th happened to be my date that I closed on the sale of my house, was I moved all my appointments to the 14th. Right, so I took everything that I had to do that 15th and I moved them to the 14th. And then Rodney goes, technically, we're doing the live stream on the 14th. I'm like, Rodney, I just moved everything to the 14th.
So nice try.
Yeah, well, so needless to say, there was a 1.5 hour drive down to San Diego to sell my house, and then an 1.5 hour drive back up from San Diego after I sold the house.
I mean, we did compromise a little bit. We did not start exactly on the international dateline midnight. I think we started midnight for Sydney.
Yeah, we started like at 6 a.m. Pacific time.
So when else did this time zone challenge come up?
We did another one later, no?
Yeah, we did the 8 hour, but we kind of had
we did the 10 hour.
Yeah, we did the 10 hour, but we already knew, hey, we really got to communicate time zones here. We got to be clear about when we're starting in both time zones.
Yeah. But we learned a lot from the 24-hour live stream. One, we learned the power of the community because literally we put out a message saying, we're doing this thing for 24 hours. Who wants to participate? and we had a flood of people that like put us in, coach.
I think we had it. So we had all our slots filled like 2 weeks before, and I was fully expecting to have to fight to the last minute to get everything filled.
Stu, Sarah, did you watch the 24-hour live stream?
I don't think I did.
So
I think I knew about it, but I think there was something else.
Stu had the best hour. He really did.
Stu had the best hour, and I was in and out at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was towards the tail end. So let me see if I can find him real quick. Too far back.
It was definitely one of the times he got saved because
it was before Ray. It was before, so Ray came on.
Oh,
boy, do I miss Ray. Ray, why did you have to leave the Atlassian ecosystem? Here we go. You don't need the audio because the visual will do it justice. But Stu lives out on a farm, and he took us during the live stream out to a farm. So there he is walking out to his farm Stu. And did I miss it? I was actually driving. I was driving. I was a participant at the time. There you go.
You're there.
He pops the camera up. Trying to, at least. Okay, we're back to Bob. What happened here?
His signal was a little in and out.
Yeah, his internet connection was a little wonky.
Where is it? It's so anticlimactic now because now he's moving again.
I mean, he's on a farm in New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. There we go.
There it is.
As it's going in reverse. So Jira and
That's
Rodney.
hilarious. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Jira server. I wonder if we should have shown this to Mike.
I thought you did. Once you got your big award, you were like with Sharif doing.
They
I
talked
told him
about
we did
it.
a 24-hour live stream, but I don't know that I showed him this particular clip.
Right.
And there's the end of Jira. So that was the most iconic moment of the 24-hour live stream, where we formally said our goodbyes to Jira server.
Andy did have something. This became a little bit of a meme. Not as much of a meme as the tacos, but
Andy, I was getting to the power. So let's fast forward a little bit. This will make sense. So I'm over here talking to my girl. To Joanne here, and you'll see me walking around here, and I make it to the garage because at this point my house is completely empty. Right, so my house is empty. There's just an echo everywhere. And as her hour goes through, it starts getting darker on it. And like by the time we're done, like I'm pitch black. And there's this thing of like I'm charging my Tesla because I'm taking the electricity the last time I'm going to be charging my Tesla at my house. And Andy out of nowhere is like telling me that I'm like stealing my neighbor's electricity. I don't know why or how this came to be. But Andy's got this thing in the chat going where like I'm stealing people's electricity. Fun little fact, Andy. I was talking to my neighbor yesterday. I told him if I ever have to dump the water out of my pool, I'm gonna take like your hose and start filling up my pool with it. He didn't like that very much.
no.
He also doesn't have a good sense of humor, and he does not like my humor at all.
So it's not in your humor, so it's not good.
No, because last year he had his trailer, this air-conditioned trailer in his driveway, and I was like, they don't come out, they don't interact with anybody, they're very quiet, and I walk a lot around my neighborhood, so I was telling Lina, I was like, what does he need an air condition for? And the only logical thing that comes to my mind is like to keep the bodies cold.
Oh no!
Because why else would you need an air condition if not to keep the bodies cold? And so I asked him on Halloween, I'm like, did you have bodies in there? And so he just brought another trailer for this.
And he was like, yes, you want to see?
No. Well, he just brought another trailer for the summer, and yesterday he was doing the mulch in his lawn, And I'm like, did you bury the bodies and then whatever's left over you're gonna put in the other trailer now? And this is why my neighbors don't like me. So not just on the Jira Life that you all don't like me.
And now they can combine this.
So Alex,
5
I
minutes
have
left.
something. I have Lina's script here up, and it has a particular word that I'm going to be honest. When you first pitched it, I was not the most enthused about. But
Which one was that?
I think it's growing me, and more importantly, is growing with our audience, and that is what we call them, the Jeramigos.
Ah, yes. Where are my thingies?
So that was a contest.
Yeah.
That was a contest, but that spawned a lot. we wanted to ask you guys, what do we call you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Jira Amigos is what won, and then we ended up getting the sombreros. Bob came down to California for around Christmas of 24?
23, yeah.
23. And Bob and I hung out in Old Town San Diego.
Old Town San Diego.
Which is basically a carbon copy of like downtown Mexico in San Diego. And we went and got sombreros. And that was probably one of our first Jira Life purchases. Which I think I need to get my reimbursement for.
So yeah, the logos. Looking at the logos, I'm actually kind of glad we never went with them.
You don't like the mustache?
Very, very cringy and very,
And that's half the reason I was not a fan of the Jeramigos. Was I was looking at these logos, I'm like, I don't know about these.
Hey, those were all Lina's work, eh?
I like these.
And so we ended up going with the peanut, no? With the sombrero?
Well, we ended up not doing anything.
Yeah.
We have. I made a little Lina made a little card for Team 24 that she wanted me to distribute that had like little jokes, and it was a giant peanut with a sombrero.
Yeah. I think I've still got a few of those somewhere kicking around.
I used to have in my office, but Lina made me clean it.
Sounds like a sticker for Europe or next year.
Yeah. And in the last 3 minutes, what else? The biggest thing, right? I think the major achievement that we've done over the last 2 years is we got the commander-in-chief himself, Mr. MCB, Mike Cannon Brooks.
There is one more achievement that, not saying that's not a great achievement, I love that, but there's one more thing that I honestly, when we first started out, did not think was going to happen. And we finally got to happen.
You meeting on?
And that's you getting certified, Alex.
Oh,
yes. Oh, that was a big one for season 2.
Yeah.
That was
there are two season 2, there was 2 things that we stated we wanted to happen. Me and Bob that we thought might be near impossible. 1, get Alex to get his passport.
Yep.
Which I have now.
And 2, get him certified. Which he now
both
has
happened. Both happened.
I honestly, this is why I go to the gym, because I thought I would have to like physically push him into the into the testing center.
I was seriously looking at what flight out to California would cost just to make sure he went.
That was fun. I also remember Mike. I remember Bob and Sajid trying to push me onto the dance floor at the reception for the community leaders dinner. That was fun. I was like a brick.
So what big next moment do you guys want?
On stage with some leadership from Atlassian doing an episode of the Jira Life live at an Atlassian at a bigger. I don't know that it needs to be team, but like one of their Unleash events or something. I think some event.
You want to co-host a event with them live from a conference.
Well, I just want to do an interview, but we'll take the whole event if they give it to us.
I mean, maybe not the whole event, but at least being on. I'm still hoping for a mention during the keynote.
I know, right? A little picture of us on the on the slides there. That'd be kind of cool. The photographer, the official photographer from Atlassian. I can't log into the dumb thing yet, so I haven't seen the official pictures. But that photographer became my friend at Team 25. Mainly because I helped him survive Disney. So
Right.
but
Maybe next year we just can we do an episode on the rides at Disney?
Well, like we did, what Disney what character, what Marvel character is Jira and the tools. We'll do what Disney ride is each product.
Yes.
Or what if we just find like the Imagineer who manages their Jira instance and talk to them about that?
Yeah,
That would be fantastic.
and we got to make sure we have the whole crew together for next year. So Ronnie, don't be getting sick.
I'm doing much better. As the crew here knows, I am doing physical therapy 3 times a week to make sure that I'm in good shape, not just for Team 26, but Team 25 Europe.
All right. Well, with that said, we're right at the mark here. So thank you all very much for tuning in. Happy birthday to us. We'll see you in a year.
Happy birthday. Thank you, Peanut Gallery. We would not be here without you.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And as we always say, we didn't choose the Jira Life. The Jira Life chose us.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the Jira Life. Our hosts are Alex, Dr. Jira Ortiz, Rodney, the Jira guy Nissen, and Sarah, #IBelieveSarah, Wright. Our producers are Robert King Bob Wen and Lina Ortiz. You can catch us as we record this podcast live every Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on YouTube at The Jira Life. Be sure to join us and the other Jiramigos of the Peanut Gallery each week to ask questions, add your comments, and tell us what you're up to. If you can't join us live, you can still catch the replay on YouTube. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell while you're watching. You can also find us as a podcast on Apple iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you think this podcast deserves a rating, it would be much appreciated as it will help others discover the Jira Life. Because we didn't choose the Jira Life. The Jira Life chose us. Thank you to Revyz for backing us up and making the Jira Life possible.